How's everybody today? Good. Well, I was really pleased with the way our players competed in the game this past week against Duke. I thought it was sort of presented a challenge to them to have an attitude to try to, dominate and play to a standard. And I really felt like, especially offensively, did that really for 60 minutes in the game. And first 4 scoring drives all turned out to be touchdowns, and I thought we really set the tempo early in the game and did a nice job. Defensively, we really, played okay in the game in the first, third, and fourth quarters. Just seemed to lose it a little bit in the second quarter in terms of focus, made some mental errors, just didn't play with quite the same intensity, couldn't get off the field on third down at times. So those things we need to get corrected. We did make some plays on special teams, which was a real positive, and I think something that we need to build on. But, this is sort of new season when you start playing in the SEC. This is a team that is a very good football team. Coach Bobby Petrino has done a really good job there. And their quarterback is obviously leading the nation in passing. Their defense is in the top 10 in a lot of different categories. They've got a really good punt returner. They've got a really good punter. There's a lot of skilled players on this team that are extremely effective. I think they have 3 receivers in the top 10 in the conference in terms of receiving yards per game and that type of thing. So they've got some players that can make plays, and they got a quarterback that does a really good job of executing their offense. And I think our team will find that you're only really kind of as strong as your weakest link. And I think everybody's got to, fight a better fight against better competition. And I think that's the challenge for everyone in terms of doing their job. That thing about you're only as strong as your weakest link usually is talking about teams. But really you can say that about yourself. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you have a weakness, you need to work on it, improve, get better at it, so that you have a chance to play better. And that should be everybody's, challenge here. So obviously opening on the road is going to be a real critical test for our ability to overcome adversity and stay focused on the task at hand against a really good football team. Yeah, I think you guys got the players of the week and all that. Warmack, Hanks, Julio and Mark, Hightower and Nico on defense, and Trent Richardson and Wesley Neighbors on special teams. And Luther Davis is the only guy that may not be 100% in practice today. Well, with an ankle and a sprained knee, should be okay by tomorrow.
They got the 3 receivers plus that tight end, one of the better catching tight ends in the country. That diversity, that balance, how does that affect game planning?
Well, I think that, we have to do what we do extremely well, and we're obviously going to have to do it better than we've done it all season long in terms of our ability to cover, run force, play the gaps up front to stop the run. They have a very good play-action game and hit a lot of big plays on those types of things. So it's going to be very challenging to execute what we do, but they do have lots of weapons, and I think everybody's going to have to do a really good job of executing for us to be able to slow them down. And it's going to be critical for our entire team to contribute in terms of how we control the ball, as well as how we play on special teams. These guys are very good in punt return. They've done a really good job in special teams, so we got to control the vertical field position, play well on defense, control the ball on offense, take care of the football both ways, and all those things are going to contribute to successfully playing an offensive team like this.
Coach, there was a report this morning that the NFLPA is going to begin requiring agents to cooperate fully with NCAA investigations. Do you feel like that's a strong step in the right direction, and was that idea born out of the conference calls that you were part of?
Well, I don't really know the answers to all those questions. I do think it's a step in the right direction. I think it shows that there is some unified effort with the NCAA, the Coaches Association, the NFLPA, and the NFL to try to create some solutions to something that has become a problem. Anytime you have this many good players suspended for 2 to 4 or however many games this year, it's not good for college football, it's not good for pro football, it's not good for the players, it's not really good for anything. So, you know, there's a step in the right direction, and hopefully we'll continue to work to have a good group of people putting their heads together to try to figure out other ways that we can come up with even better solutions.
Last year, Arkansas loaded the box trying to shut down the running game and did so effectively. You all threw the ball effectively. Do you expect the same strategy this year, and would you welcome that if they do?
Well, I think that, you know, one of the things that was a goal of ours in the offseason is, you know, when teams tried to do that, we were going to have to create more balance in what we did to try to be more difficult to defend. So that they couldn't put more guys in the box than we could block. And I think that that's something that we've tried to do in each of our games this year so far, is to create balance and to make explosive plays in other ways. And I think we have to, regardless of what their defense tries to do, we have to try to take advantage of what they give us and be able to execute that. And if it's running it, we have to run it. If it's throwing it, we need to throw it. And that's something I think we've done a fairly good job of so far this year.
Coach, I know you have a fairly young group of linebackers, but also how does it affect them, and this isn't directed at Josh Chapman necessarily, but not to have a Terrence Cody in front of them taking up 2 blockers. Has that made a difference this year for the linebackers?
Well, we did not play the run. We have not played the run, in my opinion, as well as what I think we're capable of, nor as well as we need to. We haven't played it poorly, but it's not just one guy. It's not just one spot. It's, you know, linebacker fits on the runs. It's, now, is it easier to fit the runs when you got guys that up front that they got to take 2 guys to block for a long time? I don't think there's any doubt about that, and you can defend things a little bit differently. But the run support hasn't been what it needs to be on the perimeter at times, and got to become a better tackling team. So I do agree with what you say. That does have an impact, but I think the guys that we have here are very capable of doing what they need to do to play gap control, and just got to do it the right way. You know, what I was disappointed in a little bit in the last game is we didn't play the techniques the way we need to play them, and I think when you break down fundamentally, that's when you have bigger issues and problems, and I think that's something we want to work to get corrected this week.
Coach, I know you kind of go way back with Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State. I don't know if you've talked to him in the last couple of days, but can you kind of talk about what you know about him and as a coach, as a guy?
Right. Well, first of all, I haven't talked to him. I've tried to get in touch with him, but it's been a little difficult. But, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Did a fantastic job for us a long time, you know, 5 years at Michigan State, and has been a very good coach everywhere he's been, and done a fantastic job at Michigan State and had a great win against Notre Dame. The one thing that I remember is he was always in a hell of a lot better shape than I was, so, you know, that's kind of a wake-up call for me to, you know, make sure I'm doing the right things and taking care of myself, because it was really kind of a shock, because he was such a physical fitness, good health, good conditioning all the time. So, you know, hopefully this will resolve, and in a few weeks he'll be back to normal and won't have any future issues.
Coach, we couldn't obviously tell by his play in the game Saturday, but was Julio one of those guys that had a stomach bug, or was there something that was kind of bothering him on the sideline?
No, not really. You know, I think he got the wind knocked out of him, a little bit of maybe his ribs bruised or whatever, but nothing that was significant that he couldn't have played with or continue to play with. Just didn't feel like it was necessary to put him out there anymore at a certain point, but it wasn't really due to any injury.
Coach, can you comment on the development of Will Lowry going from scout team to an on-field contributor?
Well, Will has done a really, good job of, I think there's some guys on your team that just have the capabilities of being responsible to do a job. They love to play, they play hard, but they play smart, they do the right things, and they try to do it the way they're coached to do it. And I think in putting all those things together, you come up with a pretty efficient, effective player that does his job on a pretty consistent basis. And that's what Will has done. And, we knew that he had a chance to be a guy athletically that could contribute. I think the circumstance in the secondary with so many guys leaving last year and so many new guys coming in sort of put him in a position where he could get a lot of repetitions, and he certainly took advantage of his opportunity and has done a really good job for us to this point.
Ryan Mallett last year had his least productive game of the season against Alabama. I'm just curious what the defense was able to do to make that happen.
Well, I don't think that what happened last year will have anything to do with what happens this year. First of all, I think that, we had a pretty good defensive team last year and made some plays in the game when we needed to make them. I think, it'll be a totally different challenge. I think they've got, 7 or 8 starters back on offense, or 9 maybe, 9, I think. And so they're better in terms of their consistency and execution. I think he's more comfortable and confident in what he's doing and what he's expected to do. Not that he wasn't a very, very good player last year. He certainly was. And I think, Bobby does a great job with him in terms of game plan, scheme, getting them in the right things. So this will be a real challenge and test for this team this year, but also an opportunity for them to learn and grow and develop and try to get better.